Hello, hello. Hi, it's me, and I'm back. And welcome back to a Middle Point X. So today's topic is uh, unmanaged Gen X at work. So today we're going to be talking about Gen X in the workplace, the often overlooked middle child of generations. Again, we're not loud like boomers, not hyper visible like millennials or Gen Z, but steady, independent, and frankly, a little misunderstood. And oftentimes we were feral. We ran the streets in packs from sunup to street lights, and we valued our freedom. We're talking about why Gen X struggle with a lack of ingenuity, why we need space to work, why micromanagement kills productivity for us, and how our resistance to workplace social norms can actually cost companies some of their best employees. I would like to remind us that Gen X grew up in a very specific environment. Latchkey kids, again, independent, figured things out without constant supervision. There was no gentle parenting, and failure to follow instructions would and could lead to severe punishment. So when we show up at work, we kind of bring that same mindset, right? From when we were Gen X. We need to be independent. We need to figure things out. We don't need supervision. We didn't have supervision. So when we show up at work, we think about it. We have to figure it out. We have to get it done. We don't up. We just don't overcomplicate it. I said what I said still sticks. No need to tell me twice. And our AI stood for always independent. So we didn't have all these tools. We're not looking for applause. We're not looking for constant feedback. We're definitely not looking for someone hovering over us. What we are looking for is autonomy, efficiency, and practical solutions. And when those things aren't there, that's where friction starts. One of the biggest disconnects for Gen X is dealing with an environment that lack ingenuity. Ingenuity is defined as the quality of being cleverly inventive, resourceful, or skillful in devising new solutions to problems. It represents the ability to think creatively, often involving imaginative or skillful design. So we have great tape and a hammer and nails. We don't want to have an email fest. I know you guys remember the cars and the bicycle wheels to make the motorcycle sounds, or the clothesline jump ropes. We're problem solvers by nature. We had needs that needed to be met, and we met them ourselves. We do not want to follow processes. We want to improve them. We're problem solvers by nature. We just want to follow processes. We don't want to just follow them. We want to improve them. So when we see redundant systems, inefficient workflows, because that's how we've always done it, thinking is frustrating. Not just mildly annoying, but like deeply frustrating. Because to us it feels like wasted time and wasted potential. And there's the thing. And here's the thing. Gen X isn't always vocal about it. We're not gonna raise our hand in every meeting and challenge everything. Sometimes we just disengage. We check our mentally. I'm sorry, we check out mentally. We do what's required, and the innovation that the company could have had, it never surfaces. Let's talk about space. Gen X does not thrive in environments where every move is monitored. Oh my God. Micromanagement does not motivate us, it shuts us down. Because when you micromanage a Gen X employee, what you're really saying is, I don't trust you. And once that trust is broken, productivity drops. Not because we can't do the work, but because the environment no longer supports how we work best. We prefer clear expectations, minimal interference, freedom to execute. Give us the goal and we'll get there. But harbor constant check-ins, over explaining simple tasks, that's where you lose us. Here's one of the another issue for us is right the office etiquette. Oh God, here's where it's going to get a little uncomfortable. Gen X don't always play the office game. We're not big on forced team bonding. Let's talk about something that doesn't get said in the workplace bonding and blah 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 blah. For Gen X, forced workplace bonding is where things can go sideways quickly. There's this increasing expectation in workplaces that connection equals productivity, that if people bond more, they'll work better together. So companies build in icebreakers, these team building exercises, group chats that never end, and mandatory collaboration spaces. On paper, it sounds great, right? But for Gen X, it can feel unnatural. Not because we don't like people, because we like them, not because we don't value relationships, but because we don't like forced connection. We don't see forced connection as authentic connection. We tend to build trust through competence, consistency, and share work, not through structured bonded exercises. So when we're placed in environments where connection is required rather than developed organically, there's an immediate disconnect for us. Honestly, we get uncomfortable. It gets very uncomfortable. And that discomfort we feel, other people actually feel it too, but they don't understand it. So what happens is our quiet becomes cold, our focus becomes unapproachable, our lack of participation becomes hostility. And I know you've all had the hostility thing before. When in reality, we're just trying to stay centered on the work. We're not ignoring people. We're prioritizing tasks. We're not being difficult. We're being efficient. But in highly social work environments, energy matters as much as output. But if your energy doesn't match the room, you stand out. And that's not in a good way. There's a subtle pressure in modern workplaces to perform personality, to be visibly engaged, to be socially responsive, participate in group dynamics constantly. And for Gen X, that can feel exhausting and unnecessary. Because we come from a mindset of if the work is getting done, well, what else is needed? But the expectation now is if you're not actively engaging, are you really contributing? So we're like put in these positions where we have to choose stay authentic and risk being misunderstood, or the adapt socially in ways that don't feel natural. And not everyone is willing or even able to make that shift. I being one of them. Here's the part that impacts everyone, and not just Gen X, right? When someone is perceived as distant, rigid, hard to connect with, it creates tension on teams. Colleagues may avoid collaboration, misinterpret intentions, build narratives that aren't even accurate. And over time, that can isolate a strong worker, not because of performance issues, but because of perception gaps. And that's where companies start losing people quietly, not through termination, not through conflict, but through disengagement. One of the things that's being missed here is what often gets missed all the time, and all of this is intent. Gen X isn't resisting connection. We're kind of resisting inauthentic interaction, forced engagement, time taken away from meaningful work. We actually value strong working relationships, but we just define them different. To us, a solid work environment looks like reliability, mutual respect, clear communication, getting things done together, not necessarily constant communication, social closeness, or group identities. And when companies don't recognize the difference, they mislabel behavior instead of understanding it. So, what's the solution? Mm. For Gen X, it's not about like removing collaboration, it's about rethinking how it's built. Instead of forcing bonds, let connections develop through shared goals, respect different communication styles, right? Create space for both independent and collaborative work. Because when you allow people to engage in ways that feel natural to them, you get better performance, stronger trust, and more authentic teams. I do want to talk about what employees get wrong. Here's the reality. Companies often lose Gen X employees not because of performance, but because of misalignment. They mistake independence for disengagement. They mistake quiet for lack of leadership. They mistake resistance to micromanagement as an attitude when it's the opposite. You're looking at self sufficient workers, critical thinkers, and people who don't need constant validation to perform. But if you don't understand how to manage that, you lose that. Gen X is it, we're not really asking for much, right? We're asking for trust, space, efficiency, and a workplace that values results over performance theater. Because when you get that, you get it done and it becomes a problem. You don't just retain Gen X employees, you unlock a level of productivity and insight that most workplaces are missing. You get someone who is willing to go the extra mile. That's one thing about us. We are not just takers. We're not. We're givers. We are givers. There is nothing that you can gain from us through forced engagement. Through There are times when we're in our workplaces and we're having the time of our life, right? We're having the time of our life, but it's in our head, on our iPod, on our headphones. And we're doing the best work that we could possibly get done. And somebody comes over and they say, "Are you okay?" Cringe. "How's your day going? Are you okay?" So now we're sitting here and they want to know if you're okay. How do you think that did for us? How do you think that type of interaction ruined our day? Well, I understand you guys have all these little processes and work tips on how to be the greatest ever leader there is. Sometimes the best leader is the person that will leave us alone. Leave us alone. It's kind of hard to perform, right? To personality perform. We don't want to do that. We don't want to go into these spaces and act as though what we're saying is, or what we're doing is unacceptable. Like, my personality is developed. There are some that fit my tribe. Their personalities are already developed as well. So we don't need character development. That is the weirdest thing, right? For me to be 58 years old or 47 or whatever age I am, and someone's saying, "You need some character development. Come take this class. We need to develop your character." What exactly are you trying to cookie cut and develop me into? Who do you want me to be? Who do you want me to be in this space? Why is it that whatever personality I showed you to get into the company is not the same personality that I can maintain to stay in the company? Oh, the pressure to perform personality is horrible. So here I am speaking to you like a puppy. Here I am on a Monday morning. "Hi, Sarah. How are you today?" You even you it is so unreal and so phony. Because that's another thing Gen X, we hate to be phony. It's so unreal and phony that you created a buzzword for it. They call it code switching. No, no, no. That word to me, I looked it up because it was brought to my attention recently. I looked it up and it sounds bipolar. It sounds like a symptom of bipolarism. I am who I am whenever I'm that person, and wherever room I'm in, I can adapt to any room because that's what Gen X do. We adapt. We adapt to social settings. We adapt to work environments. We adapt to our live economic or living situation. We just adapt. We are adapters by nature. And why should we have to continuously adapt? Who's going to adapt for us? Because adaptation is not how do I put this? Adaptation is not evolution. There's this subtle pressure in modern workplaces to perform these personalities. They want you to be visibly engaged, to be socially responsive, participate in group dynamics constantly. And for us, that gets exhausting and unnecessary because we just don't want to do it. And not because we're mean, but because this is energy draining. It is energy draining. It's not really worth it. Why can't we come to a conclusion where we're at our best, right? Where we could just flow naturally. We are team players. We just don't want to assimilate. We don't want to adapt to highly social, curated workplace cultures. We're not trying to build a brand at work. We're not trying to perform. We're trying to work. And when the environment prioritizes networking over skills, group alignments over independent thinking, it creates a gap where good workers are misunderstood, strong performers are undervalued, and companies lose people that they actually need. And it's not because those employees failed, but because they didn't fit the mold. So I'm asking, if you're here and you are an employee and you're listening to this, please take into consideration that everybody is not the same. The generations that we come from, it may not necessarily align. These are different times. We come from the time where Skynet, where we were afraid of Skynet, right? We AI was horrifying to us when we were children, and now it's part of the everyday workforce, and yet we've adapted and we've become able to use these things. And for us, the mental focus is always getting the job done. I don't want to talk to you. I don't. And what's crazy is that there's this quiet shift that happened in the workplace. It doesn't show up in job descriptions, but it's felt in daily interaction. It's like the expectation that being good at your job is no longer enough. Now you have to be visible, engaging, expressive, socially present, and in a very consistent way. For Gen X, we're professionals. We're being asked to perform rather than work. And it's not that we lack that personality, it's that we don't see personality as something that needs to be constantly projected to value our contribution. We were shaped in environments where results spoke louder than like presence, where getting the job done effectively and correctly was the real proof of value. But we're finding that the modern workplace, it just operates differently. There's like this weird unspoken metric now. How often do you speak up in meetings? How active are you on Teams channel? Do you engage in casual conversation? Are you as approachable and collaborative? None of these things are inherently wrong. In fact, they actually can strengthen teams when they're genuine. The issue arises when they become expected performances rather than natural expressions. Because when engagement becomes performative, it creates this kind of pressure that it's not even tied to the work itself, but to how the work is packaged socially. For us, this is very disingenuous. We tend to ask if the work is strong. Why does it need a personality layer to be recognized? Like, why does effectiveness have to be accompanied by constant visibility? And when that expectation is pushed, it can actually create internal friction. I have oftentimes found myself forcing participations in conversations that don't feel necessary, like over explaining or over engaging. Um, I found myself monitoring how I come across in an email rather than focusing on the task. That shift from doing the work to managing perception can be draining. It is very draining. And over time, it leads to one or two outcomes. Some Gen X professionals will adapt. They'll learn the language of visibility, engage more outwardly, and adjust the style to meet expectations. But even then, it could feel like a performance, something turned on during work hours rather than a natural state. And I honestly wonder, is that why so many professionals, Gen X professionals, men and women, are depressed? Is this why they're depressed? Don't know. Others will resist, right? Not loudly, not disruptively, but quietly by pulling back and staying rooted in their work. And unfortunately, the resistance is often misread. What is actually focused gets labeled again as that disengagement. Authenticity is labeled as a lack of collaboration. Efficiency is called distance. And I want you guys to understand that that misinterpretation has consequences. Because when personality becomes part of performance evaluation, whether formally or informally, those who don't perform in the expected way can be overlooked, even if their output is strong. Could you imagine someone drowning? They're dying. They need to be saved. They need someone to come and save them. And they go, nah, I don't want you to save me because I don't like your personality. Awkward. I don't want you to save me. Your company's drowning. You need help. We're coming to help. We know what to do. We know how to balance it out. But you don't like our personalities. Sick. Now, a more balanced approach would be to probably recognize that people contribute differently. Like some lead through presence, others lead through precision. Some build energies in the room, others keep the room going. Both are valuable, but only one is constantly rewarded in many modern workspaces. As Gen X, we continue to navigate the tension between staying authentic and adapting to the environment that prioritizes how you show up over what you actually deliver. The saddest part about that is there will be so many people who will miss out on so many things because they just don't fit the social norms. We're seeing now where a lot of people from our generation are being diagnosed with adult ADHD. Yeah, kind of sucks. So you're wondering, your eyes are wondering. Um, we got that whole post traumatic stress syndrome, which brought me here in the first place. Brought me here to ramble on in the first place because I just feel like I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. And I want to tell you, if you assimilate, then we will lose and miss out on so much intelligence and creativity. Your inability to assimilate is what has led us to all of the great discoveries and all of these great environments that we have now. I think that if we focus more on individuality in the workplace, we would not have all these people who are being deemed as socially inept because they do not fit that workplace environment. I remember one time I had completed, okay, so this is not for the company that I'm currently at, but there was a project that a lady and uh, I'll just say her name is Keisha. I don't know. So Keisha and I were supposed to complete this project. We worked on this project. She didn't work on this project. I worked on this project. I completed every facet, every piece of this, right? So when it came time for presentation, everybody gave her accolades for completing it. And they gave it as if her and I weren't managing this project together. And I just need you to understand, she wanted to talk about the project every day. She wanted to hang out. She just wanted to like drag the project out. I'm not doing that. I completed they gave us 14 days. I completed the project in 4 because I don't want to hang with you. I just want to get my work done. I just want to do what I came here to do. I don't want to meet you at Starbucks. I don't want to talk about Alexandria's Uggs. I just please, can I get that data? Can I get that data? Can I get that data? I can't get the data. You want me to meet you for coffee to get the data? That's okay. I'll run the data. So they gave her all these accolades because my personality just absolutely did not fit, right? Because I just was not happy. See, I'm a self sufficient worker, I'm a critical thinker. I don't need constant validation to perform. All I want to do is work and get my work done. And I want to be recognized for the work that I do and not for the conversations that I hold. I'm not meeting you after work. I'm here with you for 8 hours if I'm in office. I don't want to hang with you for 4 more. I don't care what your cat oatmeal did. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care that you're going to Barbados. I don't care that you've been married for 15 years. What I want to know is per my last email. But that's how we are. That's how Gen X is. We just want to know per my last email. We're not asking for much. Again, we're asking for trust, space, efficiency, and a workplace that values results over performance theater. I'm saying it again. Saying it again. We don't want to have these unhinged interactions. Like, I've literally sat places and nobody there likes anybody there, and they have these huge smiles plastered across their face while they're doing these weird icebreakers about how they want to be ponies. Like, if you could be any imaginary creature in the world, what would you be? And everybody wants to be like these things that have nothing to do with work. I want to be an email. I want to be an answer to the last email I sent you at 9:30, and here we are at 1:30 doing the icebreaker. That's what I want to be. That's the imaginary creature I want to be. I want to be a solution in this unsolution based place. That's what I want to be. So I do want to thank you guys for taking the time out to come back in to Middle Point X. As we start to evolve and continue again, I will have a co-host. Uh, The thing is, right now, she's out making money because it's that season. I think I said that before, but I always want to reiterate. I want to thank everybody who's taken the time to listen to me because I just want to ramble in your ear while you relax. That's what I'm here for. I love you all. May God bless you. And thank you for tuning in. Bye.